This ain't about Venezuelans. I get that there are people that don't like the leader, but guess what? There are a lot of people that don't like our leader. And regardless, somebody coming into the United States and grabbing our leader in the middle of the night and killing people in this country, I'm sure everybody would be outraged at them doing it that way.
Yeah.
All right, family. So what's up? We got to talk about this ghetto Democrat Congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett, right? And yes, I said ghetto because that's exactly the energy she's been giving off every time she opens her mouth. Loud, dramatic, always ready to go viral instead of actually doing her job. But the T is she's actually delivering some good news for Republicans right now. Yeah, whether she will realize it or not, she's playing right into their hands. So apparently behind the scenes, there's Republicans low-key gassing her up to run for Senate, like literally encouraging her, hyping her up, making it seem like, oh yeah, girl, you got this. You got it. You are amazing. When in reality, they're setting her up to be an easy target in the general election. It's like that one friend who hypes you up to fight somebody, but they know you can't fight and they just want to see you get dropped off on camera. And that's exactly the play here. So check this out. Jasmine Crockett is currently leading in the Democrat primary for the Texas Senate race. She's beating James Tallarico. Okay, now pause. I want to break that down for a second because the primary is basically the first round. The in-house fight between Democrats decide who's going to represent the party in the main election. So yeah, she's leading right now in the Democrat only race, but here's where it gets juicy because even though she's the favorite to win the primary, the numbers are showing she's actually a weaker candidate in the general election. Like once she steps out of the Democrat bubble and has to face off with the Republican opponent and try to win over everybody, independents, moderates, people in the middle, she falls flat. And you know why? Because she don't get those crossover voters. That's the key term right there, crossover voters. That means people who don't usually vote for your party might be the one willing to switch sides if they like you enough. And Jasmine, she's not getting them. Check it out.
The Southern University poll of 1,600 likely Democratic primary voters shows Crockett leading Texas State Representative James Tallarico by 8 points at 51 to 43%. 6% still undecided.
So Crockett holds the lead, though it's not an insurmountable lead for Tallarico.
Mark Jones is a political science professor at Houston's Rice University and helped commission the poll. He says Crockett's advantage coming largely from black voters, where she leads Tallarico by nearly 90%. Tallarico, meanwhile, performing better with white and Latino voters, especially men. The gender divide in this race also very clear. Women favor Crockett by nearly 20 points at 57 to 36%. Men lean toward Tallarico at 52 to 42%.
Texas Democratic primary voters are in many ways split in terms of what they believe the best strategy for winning in 2026 is.
Name recognition also significant in this race. Take a look at this. 94% of voters say they already know enough about Crockett in order to form an opinion, but only 79% can say the same about Tallarico. So who are Democrats rooting for in November? Like much of the race, voters still very much split. 53% say Crockett would actually be better at energizing the base to get them to the polls. But look at this. Nearly 60% believe it's Tallarico who would do a better job at getting Republicans to cross over.
That's one of the issues that Texas Democratic primary voters will be wrestling with as they approach the March primary is which of these two candidates, Jasmine Crockett or James Tallarico, gives them the best chance of winning in November 2026.
With less than 3 months until the March primary, both campaigns now face pressure to expand their bases without turning negative, especially in a race where Democratic voters largely like both candidates. With control of the U.S. Senate at stake.
Now, this is where James Tallarico comes in because he's not as flashy, not as loud, but the data says he's better at pulling those swing voters, those independents, and even some moderate Republicans, which means in a general election, you know, the one that actually decides who goes to D.C., he would actually stand a better chance of winning. So the poll is basically saying, yeah, Jasmine's popular among hardcore Democrats, but the popularity doesn't carry outside of the echo chamber. And it's like being the most popular kid in your high school and thinking that makes you a celebrity elsewhere, but nah, outside of your bubble, don't nobody know you and don't nobody care. And even if they do know you, they ain't feeling you. So what's the game the Republicans are playing? They want her to win the primary because they know she'll be easier to beat in the general. And they're sitting back like, please win. Please. And they ain't got to lift a finger. Just give her the mic. Let her keep saying crazy stuff. Keep being ghetto and loud on national TV, and boom, they got a free W. So while she thinks she's doing something, being a boss, standing up for the culture, or whatever she calls it, the opposition is smiling ear to ear like, yep, keep going because you're doing great. And this is what happens when you get caught up in clout over competence. All vibes, no strategy. And the worst part is Democrats might just hand this race to Republicans on a silver platter because they're too busy picking who goes viral instead of who can actually win for the best interest of Americans and American people. So yeah, the poll is good news for her right now. But in the big picture, it's looking real sweet for the GOP. So now I want to turn over to her speaking in The View, right? The lunch ladies, as we like to call them, or I like to call them, right? So with no further ado, let's get into it.
Everybody up. You shook up the Texas Senate race by announcing your candidacy. Texas hasn't elected a Democrat statewide in, they say, 30 years. So tell everyone why you feel that's not going to be a problem.
Well, I'm not going to say it's not going to be a problem, but I will tell you that I plan to get it done. Listen, I am used to being underestimated. You know, people that know my story know that I actually only won by 90 votes to get to the state house. And as a freshman, I was handpicked by my predecessor to then go to the U.S. House. Listen, what I did is I evaluated the numbers. The numbers are clear that we can win. Texas is a non-voting state. We are one of the lowest voter turnout states in the entire country, with only about a little bit more than 50% of people turning out to vote. We are also a majority minority state. So for everybody that's like, well, she running for Senate and she black. Yes, I am. I am. And
And there are 3 million black voters.
Actually, 4.
Right? 4 million black voters.
We have more African Americans in the state of Texas than any other state. But at the end of the day, the way that I govern is I govern for the people, regardless of my race. And then there are people like, well, it's women, and you know how people feel about women. Let me tell you about the state of Texas. The state of Texas has already had 2 women governors, to be clear.
And Richards.
Our first one was in the 1930s, to be clear. And one of the best known senators from the state of Texas is actually a woman, woman Republican. So like, let's just stop with like what we think. I want to be clear that a lot of people haven't put their numbers up, and I haven't put mine up for a good reason, because I'm playing for keeps. But let me tell you.
Let's pause right there. So you guys, you seen that, right? You get where she going with this, right? About numbers and not showing numbers. A lot of, individuals not showing numbers. Okay, cool. So let's really talk about it. Because Jasmine Crockett is out here winning the Democrat primary. Yeah, that's true, but let's not get it twisted. That doesn't mean she's going to win the actual election. Because in Texas, oh yeah, baby, you're going to need some Trump voters to cross over if you want to win anything statewide. I don't care how loud her base is. I don't care how many viral TikToks you got. This is Texas, baby. This is Texas. Red state conservative stronghold. Right? Trump country. And if you ain't flipping some of those red votes blue, you're not going to Washington. Period. And here's the thing, she can't do that. She does not have the sauce, the range, or the political finesse to pull that off. And the craziest part is, she knows it. That's why she came out and basically admitted, yeah, I don't really need Trump voters. Like, huh? You don't need Trump voters? Girl, what you talking about? That's like trying to win a cook-off and saying, yeah, I don't really need no seasoning. Like, you can't make this stuff up with this woman. So I want to show you this poll, right? Because I think it's self-explanatory in itself. Because yes, you do. You need all the ingredients to win in a place like Texas. And that includes Trump voters, or at least the very least independents who leaned Trump last time. But the reason she's saying all of this nonsense out loud is because she knows deep down she can't reach those people. She knows she's not relatable to them. She knows she's not respected by them. So instead of trying to win them over, she just shrugs and pretends like she never needed them in the first place. And that's not strategy, that's ego. That's damage control. That's like failing a test and then saying, "Oh well, I didn't really need to study for it anyway." No, you did. You did study. You just failed. And this whole thing is about her ego. And let's keep it a buck. She really thinks she's a second coming of Michelle Obama, Angela Davis, and Cardi B all rolled into one. And she swears up and down she's the baddest to ever do it. But here's the cold truth. Her confidence is writing checks that her track record cannot cash. And that brings me to this whole gaslight moment we about to dive into, right? Because where she gets called out and confronted about her actual chances of winning, as you guys seen. Because listen, I don't care how bold she talks. I don't care how many head tilts she do like this or finger wags she throws into her interviews. I personally believe Jasmine Crockett is full of it, straight up. There is no version of reality where she's about to flip Texas blue with that kind of attitude and that lack of strategy. So without further ado, it's delusion. It is total delusion, right? And it's a gaslight session on The View in real time, if you really think about it. And when you look at it, it says Jasmine Crockett in favor 33, 10 neutral, 40 unfavorable, never heard of 16, right? And if you go down and read this, it says half, nearly half, 49% say they would definitely not vote for Jasmine Crockett. This is higher than any other candidate in the race. Just 43% said they would definitely not vote for Alred, and 40% feel similarly about Tellerico. On the Republican side, 44% say they would definitely not vote for Paxton. 43% say they would definitely not vote for Karen, and 31% definitely would not vote for Hunt, right? Jasmine Crockett currently trails both John Karen, 49%, Karen, 41%, Crockett, and Ken Paxton, 50%, 42% Crockett. When asked in general whether they would support a Republican or Democrat candidate, 40% Republican, 50%, sorry, family. They would support a Republican or Democratic candidate. 50% support a Republican candidate, while 41% support a Democrat. Representative Crockett does not change the underlying partisan dynamic in the state, where a Democratic candidate has not won a statewide race for any office since 1994. Right? So I broke that down. I wanted you guys to see the chart because she's losing. That's why we haven't seen her post her numbers. Jasmine, let's keep it a buck. If your polls numbers were fire, if you were blowing people out of the water like you claim you are, you'll be posting them every damn where. And they'll be in your campaign emails, your Twitter bio, your pinned posts, all of that. But instead, you quiet because all we hear is little crickets, right? Just like this. That's all we hear. We hear crickets because you know the numbers don't back you up. This ain't just politics. This is basic human behavior. If you had the receipts, you'll be showing them, but you don't, and that's why you're saying show. That's why we're saying show us the numbers, because the numbers we see in all them polls, yeah, they show you losing, not just by a little bit either, right? Because look at the net favor here, plus 30%. Look at Jasmine Crockett. She all the way down here -8. You can't make this stuff up, right? And it says among respondents who have heard of candidates like let's say Jasmine, like James Tellerico, has the widest advantage in favorability. Man, we got to get these left delusional, give me a headache Democrats up out of here, man. We got to win the midterms. I'm praying we win the midterms. Comment down below if you pray that we win the midterms for us conservatives, man. Give this video a big thumbs up if you got this far. It totally helps the channel, and subscribe and join the family. But let's continue to really break this down, and let's continue to let Gaslight and Crockett do her thing as per usual.
That I know how to evaluate and I know how to win races. So I will say that, and I will also say that the front runner in this race was Colin Allred, someone that I served with. After I got my numbers, I did call him as well as the other person in this race. I told them that I would share my numbers with them privately. I did not get asked for those numbers. And I will say that Colin Allred at the end of this race, in my opinion, will be one of the heroes. Because as the Democratic nominee last time, he decided to step aside because he felt like what mattered was getting the best person across the finish line. And in this moment, it wasn't about him as an individual.
Right.
He felt like I was ready and that I could get it done.
That's rare.
Well, I think he felt like he could take his chances elsewhere, right, and win. And you really think about it, because like I said, she's losing. You guys seen the table, the chart, not just by a little bit either. She's getting cooked. It don't matter if it's Wesley Hunt, John Cornyn, Ken Paxton. Pick your poison. Every single one of them, you beat, and not just beat, they're dragging you. And what's even worse, you're not just losing to Republicans, you're doing worse than your own opponent in the Democrat primary when it comes to head-to-head matchups, right? James Tallarico ain't even out here making as much noise as you, but he's still polling better, a net plus 30 against Republicans in the general. That should tell you something. Like, maybe your whole campaign is vibes over results. But instead of facing the reality, what you do? You try to flip the narrative and act like it's about race or gender. Like, oh, people are saying I can't win because I'm a black woman. No, Jasmine, that's not what people are saying. Don't twist it. What people are saying is you can't win because you're a Democrat in a red state and you're too far left and you're way too divisive, and that's it. That's the conversation. And that's what it is. People in Texas ain't looking at you and saying, oh, she can't win because she black. They're looking at your policies and saying, yeah, no thanks. I don't want that. This is Texas, not Twitter. You're not running in a blue coastal city. You're running in a place where being too progressive is political suicide. You talk like you're trying to win over MSNBC viewers. Well, now known as MS Now. They changed their name, not MSNBC no more. But not Texans. And here's the thing. Your whole campaign strategy is based on this fantasy that you're going to activate all of these people who never vote. That's somehow that's the secret and underground army of non-voters just waiting for Jasmine Crockett to show up on a ballot to finally get excited about politics. That's delusional. It's not strategy. That's wishful thinking. Like, let's put it like this. If people ain't voting during presidential elections, during Trump versus Biden, what makes you think they're going to get up and go vote in the Senate race? What makes you so special? What makes you so magical about Jasmine Crockett with your yellow school bus suit jacket on? What makes you so special? Well, her suit jacket actually remind me of the Magic School Bus. You know, the cartoon I used to watch growing up. I'm a 90s baby. But anyway, not to get off topic. My point is, what makes you so special? What's so magical that Jasmine Crockett is supposed to get 1.5 million people to show up out of nowhere? That's the kind of gap Democrats are working with. 1.5 million votes. That's how much Kamala's ticket lost by in Texas. So if you ain't flipping any Trump voters, which we already established you're not, where's that 1.5 million supposed to come from? You think people who never heard of you are about to run to the polls to save your seat? You can stop it, homegirl. This ain't a movement. This is an ego trip. And you're not running to win. You're running for attention. That's what makes this bad. But let's watch a little bit more and we can wrap this up.
In that same vein, and you still have one other challenger, James Tallarico, state representative, who I believe you served with.
Yes.
But some Democrats worry that your reputation as an anti-Trump resistance leader could hurt you in deep red Texas, where he won by double digits. Some Republicans came out of the gate saying, you know, this was a gift and the greatest thing. How do you, and there's also been reporting that the NRSC even put your name into the field in polls to try to drive up your polling support so you'd get into the race. How do you respond to those concerns, and are you ready to take them on?
I'm absolutely ready. I wouldn't have got in the race otherwise. And the reason that we started with the video that you saw is because I knew that the attacks were coming. Mm-hmm. And the point is, I will remain cool as a cucumber, and I will smile at the end. That is why that video looked that way. I will also say that I did not rely on NRSCC to make my decision. I spent a lot of money on my own polling to make sure that I could evaluate it, and we actually tested in a very different way. One of the reasons that
She tested it to tweak the numbers in her favor, to make it look like it's going in her favor, when reality is, it ain't. That's why she paid a lot of money. In translation, she's basically saying, I paid a lot of money to make things go my way, the way I want to see it, because this was going to happen. These Democrats are so used to being in power. They're spoiled by the power and spoiled being party over people that they're sitting here paying money for polls to make it look like it's in their favor. The disrespect to the American taxpayer, let alone American citizen, they supposed to be operating on the best of, let alone Texan constituents she's fighting for to win their vote.
The polls have consistently been inaccurate when it came down to Donald Trump is because he's able to excite a different group of people that no one ever counts on. And so what we did is we wanted to evaluate whether or not we could expand the electorate. Because if the electorate remains the same electorate that it's been for the last 30 years, we'll get the same result. So the only way to win is to actually expand it. But honestly, the vast majority of pundits will tell you, well, you got to go get Trump voters. Well, here's the reality. I think that there are a lot of Trump voters that are actually upset about their vote for Trump because he is not delivering, number one, on his promises. So we can start there, not to mention the economy and affordability is not really great right now. So I do think that there are a lot of people that, number one, want to make sure that there is somebody that will check him on their behalf. As a Texan, I can tell you we do trade big in Texas. But guess who's messed that up? Donald Trump. As a Texan, I can tell you that we do agriculture big, and I served on the ag committee. As a Texan, I can tell you that some of those folk are upset. Right now, there's been a lot of talk about how there's the Tyson plant that shut down in Nebraska. Let me tell you, Amarillo, Texas, where they process beef for Tyson, they are about to shut down as well. So let me tell you, at the end of the day, people will have to make a decision. I'm not asking people to become my best friend. And as I used to campaign for the vice president, I would go into a lot of churches and I'd ask them to raise their hand if they love their spouses, and they would raise their hand. And I say, do you always agree with them? Yeah, that's the kind of response we would normally get.
Yeah. She wants to talk about Tyson and all that, but the Democrat Party was the main individual outsourcing jobs to other countries. For example, like we could talk about the auto manufacturing, right? Taking Hyundai and all of those big companies, big fortune companies, like in Detroit, Michigan, right? They were outsourcing the jobs out to other countries and at the detriment of Americans losing their jobs. And the rate of inflation was so high that these companies had to make adjustments and move elsewhere to even be able to sustain, to be able to even still operate. Because business is business, right? You want to make sure that you still are giving a high quality service. And in this case, when it comes to Tyson, when it comes to their nuggets and stuff like that, which I'm known for, what they're known for and things like that and much more. But the thing is, you want to make sure that you're operating in a positive, not a negative, because then you still have the cost of production, right? Making the product, packaging the product, shipping the product out, outsourcing, So when you look at all of that, and how much it costs to make a nugget, let alone the packages and things like that, and how many nuggets, the quantity of nuggets in a bag, and then let alone you got to sit there and pay for an employee, pay to bring them on board, pay to do a background check, get them benefits. Well, that's hard to do when the cost of living goes so high, and let alone the supply to create the nuggets costs so much more because it's not enough to go around to make sure that the price is lowered. So now they're trying to pay employees and keep up with making a high quality product like the nugget that Americans love, which then at the cost is a trade-off. Oh, do I go elsewhere? And I eventually had to let go of these employees because it's getting too high over here, or whatever the case may be. So these Democrats need to stop acting like we didn't go through the last 4 years of fraud, COVID monies being abused, and PPP loans and illegal immigrants and all of these things that the Democrats done, and you think they're supposed to be fixed overnight. So that's what I'm saying with this woman, man. She just gaslighting to the fullest.
We would normally get. Listen, it's not about whether or not you agree with someone 100% of the time. It's about, do you have the strength to stand in this moment? And right now, the people are looking for real leaders that are going to fight for them.
Yes, right. And you're one of them. You're one of them. So I want to just say one thing about you, because I think you clearly trigger the base, Trump, and also the vice president. Let's watch this clip.
And Jasmine Crockett. Oh, Jasmine Crockett. The record speaks for itself. She wants to be a senator, though her street girl persona is about as real as her nails.
Go ahead. Here's your chance. Respond to
Okay,
him.
so first of all, my nails are real. But I will say, what a lot of people don't understand, and Alyssa, you can help me out with this, is that Republicans are a lot better at doing focus groups, right? And so Democrats, we rely on like poll, but focus groups allow you to kind of get down to the nitty gritty of like why people feel a certain way about certain things. Well, I can tell you that right now, what disturbs them is that I am able to get at a demographic that Democrats have been losing. Consistently in third-party polls, as well as my internal polling, it shows that those that don't have a college degree, by over 70%, choose me. Well, that's a demographic that we've been losing without, so now he's like, oh, no, it's all fake. Like, don't believe that. No, the reality is that I was a criminal defense attorney. I was a public defender. I am somebody who walked into plenty of jails and dealt with real killers. So let me be clear, I understand what happens in the streets, but I don't have to quote unquote be a street girl. And I don't even know why.
Don't you think that that's racist?
No.
Look, man, her nails is not real. She's trying to say they fake. JD Vance got under her skin and called her out and told her what it was and held her accountable. She is fake as those nails. She puts on this fake persona in Congress, right? And everything about her is fake. It's cosplay. And she wants us to believe that her numbers are real and that she has a real chance. And the reality is she's going to make people vote against her more than she thinks she's going to make them vote for her. And when you really think about that, she's triggered by JD Vance. JD saying that one little thing. And what you see is the reason why she won't show her numbers is because she know that she's talking very vaguely and unrealistic about her numbers. And that's why she won't tell us, because we don't have no real figures to even see. But she's willing to sit there and defend her nails, but not the actual numbers. Because my thing is, if JD Vance didn't get under your skin that much, then why you didn't just keep talking about the numbers and actually show the numbers and keep it about how convenient it is to vote for you, right? So this is what I mean by the political theater. She can't even see through her own political theater games, as fake as her nails, because she keep thinking that if she keeps cosplaying like this, that people will vote for her more. And the reality is she been cosplaying and playing political theater so much that JD Vance done touched her heart and made her trigger and really hurt her feelings about saying her little fake acrylics. The reality is he was metaphorically saying you are fake just as those nails, being ghetto and loud and obnoxious as you are. That's the reality is. So for JD Vance to get under your skin just shows the fakeness being exposed from the mask that you have on that's basically being thrown right now because you showing your true colors as you continue to be prideful. And this is the pride before the fall. So she over here running on revenge, let's be honest. And the whole campaign feels like a screw you to the Democratic establishment for not giving her the leadership role. And now she out here saying, fine, I'll run for Senate then. Like it's some kind of flex. No, it's just it's a train wreck. And you're way over your skis, man. Everybody sees it but her. At this point, the only explanation for the campaign is either you straight up ego or you trying to mess up the party from the inside on your way out. Either way, it's a mess. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Catch you next one. As always, we having a conversation. Peace.